Hi, my name is Chris, and welcome back to Laura's channel. Today, I'm going to be talking a little bit about my journey, the successes I had, struggles I might have had, how it is maintaining after 5 years on a carnivore diet.
We have been married for 10 years and on this roller coaster together. Long before we started carnivore, we were constantly gaining and losing weight together. We were really good at gaining weight together. And now we are really good at sticking to it, supporting each other along the way. And it's been 5 years with both of us completely losing 100 pounds, reversing all of our health issues. And so Chris is going to tell his story today. If you want to hear more about my story and how I lost 100 pounds on the carnivore diet and figured out how to maintain it, you can go watch that video. That's also on my channel. Before we get started, I want to let you know that this video is sponsored by Element. Element is an electrolyte drink mix. Here, you want to hold your favorite one. That's perfectly formulated for people like us that are on a carnivore, keto, or low carb diet. It has 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium, all in this convenient little packet.
I love the chocolate. I mix it with cold brew coffee in the morning over ice. A nice big tumbler, shake it up, and sets me off to a good day.
All the flavored versions are sweetened with stevia, which means there's no sugar and no junk or fillers of any kind. Element has a deal for all my subscribers where you can get this free sample pack with any purchase. If you go to drinkelement.com/LauraSpath, that's a free sample pack, lets you try all 8 of their flavors and you can figure out which one you like best. Drinkelement.com/LauraSpath. So thank you to Element for sponsoring this video. Let's start by having you talk about your health before carnivore, kind of what was it like, your weight over the years, and kind of what that rock bottom moment of your health was like before we found carnivore.
Yeah, so growing up, I always struggled with my weight. I was a chubby kid when I was young. You know, even when I was in the military, after school, I was in the weight management program and had to go check in and get weighed all the time. And it was pretty miserable, you know, and over the years after the military, when I didn't have that accountability, I would eat more and more and more, and I'd put on weight and I'd put on weight. You know, eventually when you and I got married, you know, I was not the healthiest person.
Me neither. We were both pretty heavy when we met and got married.
I was probably 270 pounds or so when we got together, and we packed on a little more together. Then it came back and got me, you know, I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes.
I was pregnant with Penelope, and at the same time I got pregnant, you found out that you were type 2 diabetic.
Right. You know, my blood sugar was out of control. You know, one day I just couldn't stop peeing every 5 minutes and thought this isn't right. So I went to the doctor, and sure enough, you know, and they didn't really give me a lot of good advice other than you need to lose some weight and exercise and take this medicine forever. And so I did some research and kind of found low carb, and we tried a few diets. And
you actually lost quite a bit. I think you lost like 40 pounds while I was pregnant.
I did.
And we're taking medication.
Right. I didn't, you know, I was doing some version of low carb. I was eating Atkins bars and exercising a lot, and things kind of fell off, and I wound up putting all that weight back on, plus some. I got up over 300 pounds. And then Christmas Day, 2016, I never forget that date because all the grief I get to give her now, but she gave me then. So Christmas Eve, I had a little rash on my arm near where I had a little pimple from before, and it started concerning me. And she said, "Don't ruin our Christmas."
No, it was like a Friday night, Christmas Eve, and I knew everything was going to be closed on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So I said, like, if you don't feel good, go to urgent care doctor now, or suck it up until Monday.
So I didn't want to ruin Christmas, so I sucked it up. And of course, Christmas morning, I woke up with like 103-degree fever, and the rash had spread around my elbow, and told her, "I'm sorry, but I got to leave." And I went to the emergency room, and if looks could kill. Well, needless to say, like 2 hours later, though, I'm calling because they admitted me, and I'm in the hospital. And
it's only funny now looking back on it, but at the time it was really it was pretty traumatic, obviously, for all of us.
So I had necrotizing fasciitis, which is flesh-eating disease, and something that's pretty common, and not common, but happens a lot in type 2 diabetics. When your blood sugar's out of control, your system can't really fight off infection very well. So just a little pimple on my elbow turned into a massive infection that I spent 7 weeks in the hospital and countless amounts of surgery. You can see my arm. This is all this flesh had to be removed to take all that out of my body.
They did skin grafts from his legs. I mean, before we could figure out what it was, they were telling us to notify family to come say goodbye. So it's Christmas Day. We're kind of out here by ourselves. Family started flying out. It was a pretty, like, it was definitely the Lord's mercy as to why you're still here after all that. Even the skin grafts, he was very severely type 2 diabetic at the time. And through all of the surgeries and the skin grafts, like, it is harder for you to heal when you are type 2 diabetic or respond to antibiotics. And so all the medications they were giving him were not working. And even just the healing that needed to happen, they were really nervous that it wouldn't happen because of the fact that he was diabetic.
After that, I came home, and it took a while for me to get life back together. It was pretty traumatic. And after a few months, I started wondering, why did this happen to me? I kind of knew, but I didn't want to face that reality. And I had to, and I decided, what am I going to do about it? I have 2 small kids. I have a beautiful wife that I love very much and I don't want to abandon. So I started doing research, and discovered, all these facts about type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance and how those things affect other parts of your health. At the time, I had tons of ailments. I had high blood pressure. I had sleep apnea. I had type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance. I had massive allergies. I was taking probably 6 to 8 medications every day, and I just had enough. So it took all the way until early 2018 when we decided to start our journey. And that's when, we started keto, low carb for the first few weeks, and then found lots of different communities online and different strategies. And someone said, no vegetables? I said, sign me up for that. I can eat a steak every day. And needless to say, that was a pretty powerful tool, because with both the carnivore diet and the fasting, it took about 9-10 months for me to lose over 110 pounds. I went from about, I think it was 302, I think was the highest I saw on a scale. Could have been even more than that, but I got all the way down to 178 at my lowest. And when I went back to the doctor, my A1C was under 5.
What was it at the highest?
It was 11.6, the last blood draw I had before I started. And it was 4.9 after. They put resolved in my medical chart. Also, all the other ailments I had, sleep apnea, after about 70 pounds lost, that started to fade away. I didn't need to use a CPAP anymore. Within weeks, my high blood pressure was normalized. My blood sugars all were normal within about a month or so. So I was able to stop taking all those medications. And surprisingly, one of the benefits was allergies. I noticed I wasn't taking my Benadryl every night to go to sleep and my Claritin every morning. I just wasn't taking it, and I wasn't having any of those symptoms anymore. So
you also used to deal a lot with skin tags, which is a sign of insulin resistance, and those all went away. They kind of like all fell off, or he pulled them up, and then he doesn't get those anymore at all.
Yeah, that was another side benefit.
So going from all the huge list of prescription medications that you used to take before, at this point you take 0 prescriptions, and your blood sugar, your blood pressure, everything is normal, and you don't take anything at all for it.
Nope. It's pretty liberating too, because you used to always have to, and much cheaper. You talk about expenses. Going to the doctor all the time and filling prescriptions and having to worry about this in the morning, or when you go on a trip, now you gotta make sure I bring my prescriptions. I gotta bring my allergy medicine. I gotta bring my Advil or Motrin to make sure that all the aches and pains you have are taken care of. Well, all that's gone now.
Give them just a brief example of how you were eating during the weight loss. Because actually what's interesting about Chris is that like how he lost the weight and what he's doing now is pretty much the same thing. Like within a few weeks, you figured out how you like to eat, what you like to eat, and the whole routine. And that has really not changed almost at all in the last 5 years. Yeah,
when I first started, I tried to eat 2 meals a day, following intermittent fasting of like 20/4. And I found myself eating too much at my first meal to be able to eat a second meal. And I said, well, I've always been the type of person that wants to just eat till they're stuffed. So why not just eat till you're stuffed and then not eat again for 24 hours? So after a few months of doing 2 meals a day in a 4-hour window, I switched to 1 meal a day, and I was eating about 2 pounds of ribeye, steak, bacon, those sorts of things, sometimes chicken and pork. And I did that for that whole first year and lost all the weight on that. As I got leaner and lost more weight, when the weight loss would slow down, I did have to kind of switch to a little less food and maybe some leaner cuts, some New York strip. And I wound up loving New York strip. So pretty much today, I still eat about 2 pounds of New York strip. That would be an average meal every day, once a day. I'm never hungry. I don't have any issues with that, and that maintains me right where I want to be.
He incorporated some longer fast, like a 48-hour fast, to help regulate his blood sugar and kind of drive that down initially. And he does it now more just as moral support with me, but he doesn't like to do it at all.
Thanks for filling in the gaps, by the way.
What do you think were your biggest struggles throughout the last 5 years?
Biggest struggles have always just been, carbs, sugar, starch. Those sorts of things are like a drug to me. So I do think about them. They do still look good. I do still want them, and I do still have to fight those urges. And I don't think that's ever going to go away. And it didn't go away during that time. I just had to be stronger than that urge. It's very simple to follow this plan, but it's not easy. I think Amy Berger says that all the time. But I really love that. It's simple because you know what to do. Just eat the steak. That's it. But that's not always easy. So you have to recognize that battle within yourself and decide that you're going to win.
It's already been 5 years. Thinking 5 years in the future, 10 years in the future, do you think you'll still be eating a carnivore diet?
Absolutely, without a doubt, 100%. I'm a sugar addict. I can't play with that. I can't go back to that in the future thinking I can moderate it. I'm just going to have to abstain, and I've accepted that, and I'm happy with that. Steak is my favorite food in the world. And so if I've got to eat that for the rest of my life, that will be more than fine with me. As long as I get to stick around, be healthy, spend time with you and the kids, it's all worth it. Plus steak, if you put me on a desert island and I can only have one food for my life, now, even 10 years ago, I would have said steak.
I think at this point we have covered just about everything. Is there anything else that you want to share or leave people with as we wrap up this video?
Early on for me, I became addicted to the results. How much better you feel makes a world of difference. If you're getting started or you're halfway on your journey and you're kind of floating around not knowing which direction you're going to go, that's my advice would be make it a passion. Learn how to cook well. Learn how to buy a good steak, to cook a good steak, or to do it on a budget with ground beef and different techniques and things like that to make it better and more enjoyable. Because if you're bored with it, you're not going to stick to it.
Yeah, this has truly become a lifestyle for us. I don't think either one of us would have made it this far. I speak for myself to say I wouldn't have made it this far without Chris's support and him encouraging me and sticking to it with me along the way. So the fact that this has truly become a lifestyle for our family is, I think, also a lot of what helps us to be successful. That's all I got. Thanks, guys. Make sure you subscribe and stick around, and we'll show you more of what we eat and our life on a carnivore diet.